divisions. Padres and Cardinals used a record number of pitchers yesterday, 17 to tie a postseason record, and San Diego has only 3 pitchers on their roster that haven't thrown in this series. We'll talk Craig Stammen in a moment. First, the Cardinals batted by Yadier Molina. He's played in 100 career postseason games, and last night he picked up his 100th career postseason hit. That's the all-time. Their approach has been the story in this one. They were very patient game 1. They were patient game 2 after being aggressive in game 1, and the Cardinals with 9 runs in the second game after 7 in game number 1. Jessica may be a little surprised that they've been so productive in the first 2 games of the series.
Well, they've had a great approach, a great game plan. Matt Carpenter talked pregame about coming after this Padres pitching staff, knowing that they have limited arms. He said that we're going to come after them early, still staying patient, but wanting to get through these arms.
This was a planned bullpen day for the Padres today, and Craig Stammen will get the ball to start things off. Starter earlier in his career as a mid-20-year-old for the Nationals. Now he's 36, and he makes an appearance for the Padres to get this thing going. 24 appearances during the season, a 5.63 ERA. So what can we expect from him?
Well, Tom, I thought momentum was all about your next day starting pitcher. We waited all day to find out who that was going to be for these Padres, but I applaud the guy that I'm up with. He's a veteran. He came over here 3 years ago. He's been outstanding. He's one of those guys that will take the ball in any role. He's been a closer. As you said, he's been a starter in the past, and like they told us today, Jay Singler said he'll be out there as long as we leave him because he wants the ball.
All hands on deck for these Padres. Jace Tingler said succinctly, everyone is available. I got a lot of arms ready to go for the first-year manager of the San Diego Padres. Played his college ball at the University of Missouri and a long time in the Rangers organization. The best single-season winning percentage in San Diego history this season, and a second-place finish to the Dodgers in the National League West. On the other side, the reigning National League Manager of the Year, Mike Shildt, 162 wins against 127 losses, and an unprecedented schedule that they dealt with this season after the fits and starts of dealing with COVID-19. 11 doubleheaders played by these Cardinals, and you can bet they were exhausted through the end of the regular season. 2 days off before the start of this season, this series, I should say, and they have looked re-energized. Colton Wong has hit in 9 consecutive games dating back to the regular season. He will lead off for St. Louis against Craig Stammen in the first pitch of this one. It's a fastball for a strike. James Hoy has the plate. Wong 2 for 10 in this series. Hit a 2-run home run yesterday after just 1 home run during the regular season. Of course, these teams didn't face each other during the regular season. Cardinals only faced teams from the AL and NL Central. But they have not lost to the Padres in the postseason in their history. That one fouled off of Wong's foot. It'll be 0-2 now. Don't let the cardboard cutouts fool you. The ballpark can get loud, especially when the Padres are batting. They crank up the fake crowd noise. And there's some folks in Petco in the respective suites and those hanging out off the balconies surrounding the ballpark.
It's a beautiful stadium.
Little dribbler out in front of the plate. Austin Nola pounces, and there's 1 down. Nola part of the trade deadline deal that restructured this Padres roster, and he's been a mainstay behind the plate.
Tom, once we found out who the starting pitcher for the Padres was going to be, I made a phone call to their longtime pitching coach, Darren Balsley. Darren stepped aside this year. Larry Rothschild came in to step over, and I asked him about Craig Stammen, and he said, you're going to love everything about this guy. He came over after the 2016 season. He wasn't in the big leagues. His last 3 seasons with these Padres has been outstanding. Sinker, slider, curveball. And the biggest thing to me that Ballsy was talking about, yeah, absolutely. Darren fixed his mechanics a lot like what he did with Jake Peavy and a lot of guys over the years. But what he talked about is that this is the type of guy that every team needs. This is like that Ben Zobrist utility guy where they'll do anything at any time. That's been Craig Stammen the last 3.5 years.
They're going to ask a lot of guys to contribute in that way today as Tommy Edman falls behind in the count, 0-2. 2 for 10 in the series for the switch-hitting Edman. Had a single and scored a run in the first inning last night. Cardinals jumped out to a 4-0 lead after 2 innings, and the Padres came alive late thanks to Tatis, one of the best infield arms in baseball, and he takes care of Edman. Not sure there's anything Fernando Tatis can't do, Jess, especially with his improvement defensively this year.
Yeah, we've talked so much about what he can do with the bat, but really the defense has been his biggest goal coming into this season. Look at the backhand into that 5-6 hole off his front foot, and really just the ease, right? I mean, it looks like he's in his backyard. A perfect throw to Eric Hosmer over at first base.
2 up and 2 down, and now the Cardinals star Paul Goldschmidt. Maybe underappreciated nationally because he rarely talks about himself. He's not a me-first guy, but saw this guy's shown up this series as he has since he put on that Cardinals uniform.
Well, we talked about it before Game 1. He, in a lot of ways, reminds me of the Hall of Famer Jeff Bagwell. And not talking about himself is, again, one of those things.
2 balls and no strikes to Paul Goldschmidt. Being a little bit more careful with him in this one than they were Game 1 when Chris Paddock threw him a first-pitch fastball that ended up 356 feet away from the plate. Got underneath it and popped it up. It'll be Manny Machado. In the sunlight? Nope, it'll be Tatis in the shade. They do everything together.
They teach you.
1, 2, 3 frame. Look like third base from here. No score. Cardinals go down in order in the first inning. Just a 10-pitch frame for Craig Stammen. And now Jack Flaherty on the mound. And we've got Pedro Gomez in the ballpark. Hey, Pedro, how's the weather?
It's blazing. It's very hot down here, by the way. You know what, though? Last night, the Padres showed you what they can do when they have that 1-2 combination of Tatis and Machado. I had a front office executive with the Padres tell me he is the drive, he's the passion, and he's the talent. He also said he's the ultimate person and teammate, and yet he is just one of the guys. There's nothing that he looks at himself above anyone else, and he finished it off with, can you say winner? Mitch Moreland, I asked him before the game today about, it was 6-2 in the 6th inning. They were down to their last 4 innings before they might be eliminated. And he said, I haven't felt this dugout be low since I've been here. It's happened so fast, and as usual, Tatis was the lightning bolt that started it all. He is just some kind of player, apparently.
Yeah, once that boulder started rolling down the hill, there was no stopping it. Jack Flaherty misses with his first pitch to Trent Grisham, who's hitless in this series. 0 for 5, but he's drawn 3 walks. 24-year-old Flaherty making another postseason start. He was a winner in an elimination game against the Braves last year. 4-3 with a 4.91 in the regular season. He made 9 starts, 49 strikeouts against 16 walks.
Yeah, and he's proud of that fastball, and he has every right to be. Just talked about the numbers he's put up since the All-Star break last year.
Back to that fastball at 95 that just missed, and a wipeout slider.
I love how he just looks like he's playing catch, though. And then you look at the radar gun, and you see those mid to upper 90 numbers.
Broken bat dribbler, Goldschmidt. 1 down. And if you weren't aware of these San Diego Padres, this is the guy you should know. It's Fernando Tatis Jr. And the Cardinals fans learned all about him last night. That's a home run that got him going. A bat flip for the ages. A 3-run shot in the 6th. He did it again with an opposite field bomb in the 7th.
Such a dynamic player, and we showed on defense, which I'm actually glad that we were able to highlight him defense first, because that was such his goal coming in. But he's dynamic in everything he does, on the base pass, with the bat, with the flips, with the smile. You'll see him dancing in the dugout. There isn't anything about him that he does less than 100%.
21-year-old, a breakout star. Last year's season cut short after just 84 games. He still finished 3rd in the Rookie of the Year balloting. Second in the National League with 17 home runs in the regular season. Top 5 in home runs, RBI, and stolen bases. 11 bags for Tatis.
Jess, as you talked about him wanting to improve with his defense, it reminded me of something that Mike Scioscia and his coaching staff told me about Mike Trout years ago. Mike Trout, as we take a look at this ball down below the zone, you could hear the Padres dugout hollering about that. But Mike Trout comes to spring training every year, and he gathers the coaches and he says, okay, what do I need to improve at to get better? And he works at that, and he creates that improvement.
That one was just off the plate inside, 2-2. Well, that worked for Tatis. Took him from 135th in outs above average last year to just 6 outs above average, tied for first. Pardon me, 135th out of 139 last year, and then tied for first this season. 3-2. And the impact that Tatis has on Machado and vice versa is a very real thing, and it was very real last night when they went back-to-back. First time for Padres to do it in the postseason since Tony Gwynn and Greg Vaughn in Game 1 of the '98 World Series against the Yankees. One out,
what a great
one.
at-bat. And here I like it because he gets a strike called, as Sut pointed out. It was below the zone. He didn't like it. That was strike 2. So what does Flaherty do? He opens up that lower part of the zone to try to get him to chase, to protect with 2 strikes. And he says, I'm not going to bite. I want to make this umpire call a ball again before I swing at a pitch that's not in the strike zone.
Machado with a home run, 2 for 10 this series, a .304 average with 16 home runs in the regular season. 4th in the league in hits, 10th in on-base percentage. Here's what he did last night, following Tatis.
I got to tell you, too, when I saw this, and I got home last night and I thought about it and I saw the replays, I don't know why, but I flashed back to when Ken Griffey Jr. went deep right after Ken Griffey Sr. had gone deep. And I know Manny's not that much older than Fernando is, but the respect that they have for each other and how Tatis has talked about looking up to Manny, it just made me think of that moment.
Would you buy Big Brother, Little Brother? Is that a better fit than Father, Son?
Probably for Manny.
No doubt.
I'm going to hear about it the next time I see Manny, too.
He did hit into 9 double plays this season, tied for 3rd most in the National League. It looks at a strike, 2-1. Flaherty's fastball, which he throws 56% of the time, averages 94. And he seems to be a little bit geeked up, the adrenaline carrying it here in the first inning tonight. Sinker in there for a strike, 2-2.
Jess, it looks like Tatis is getting about a foot off with each pitch that Flaherty has thrown. We know that Yadier Molina shuts down most of the opponent's running games, but this is looking like a moment he might be trying to guess on some spin and off-speed pitch to try to steal it back.
We haven't seen many of them in the postseasons. There have been 2 by the Padres in this series. Cronenworth, Tommy Pham. Tatis would love to get one on the great Yadier Molina.
And one of those was a ball that Edman dropped at third that they originally ruled an error, then changed back, fouled back, stay 2-2. So what can we expect from Flaherty in this one?
The one thing he hasn't done yet is elevate that fastball. I think the key is that he's, was able to get in to get that first out on Grisham. He tried to find the inside corner with Tatis. He couldn't do that. I think the fact that he's gotten in there on Machado, Manny was late on that last heater. I think now you try to elevate it on the inside part of the plate, knowing how aggressive Manny Machado can be.
Set to Tatis and Machado. Everything has been down in the zone.
9-time Gold Glover behind the plate. There's a breaking ball, and he takes care of Machado. Boy, as a pitcher, Sut, this must feel like a huge relief you navigate through that with Tatis on.
Yeah, it really does. He did a nice job of holding him close. He threw over a couple of times. And that's just, there's not much you can do right there. That pitch coming out of his arm, it's the same window of his fastball. Looks like it's going to be a strike for the longest time, but then enough movement to get it completely away from that swing. And I think about something that Freddie Freeman told me last year in the division series when the Braves were up against the Cardinals with Flaherty on the mound. He said it's a different arm angle than most of the power pitchers that you face. It creates a little different release point that's hard to adjust to. That arm slot of Flaherty for a big guy like that, he's not an over-the-top guy. It's a lower arm slot than with most other guys his height.
Eric Hosmer at the plate. Another throw to keep Tatis near the bag. He's crawling back.
And Sut, to your point, the thing with Jack Flaherty, he gets a ton of swing and miss, but if you look actually at all of his pitches, it's not like they're high spin or they have, his sliders are great pitch, but you're right with the deception. When you talk to hitters, what is it about Jack Flaherty? They say it's hard to pick up.
Runner goes. No, he didn't. Molina's back throw is not in time. Tatis fun and games with Yadier Molina. But I thought spin rate was the end-all, be-all. How can he be such a great pitcher if he doesn't have elite spin rate?
Tap velocity,
elite command.
spin, and deception. And that's why you see so many guys be able, if they don't have the velocity and the spin, they figure out what to do with their arm slots. That's why guys will come more submarine, do all kinds of different things to get that deception part if you don't have the other two.
To Goldschmidt, and he will step on the bag to end the inning. Very patient frame from Flaherty. A walk to Tatis. Final day, not only did they clinch a playoff spot, but they avoided an extension of their season, which would have sent them to Detroit for at least one, if not 2 games on Monday. The reward? 2 days off in San Diego, and they are rejuvenated. They have more energy, and Mike Shildt said, yeah, there is no coincidence that we've come out swinging a bat in a big way in these 2 games. 16 runs on 23 hits. And this young cleanup hitter, Dylan Carlson, a big part of it. A fantastic eye at the strike zone for a guy who's one of 6 different cleanup hitters the Cardinals have used this season, Sud.
I like how he forces you to throw him a strike. He has done that in both of these games. He has spit on that breaking ball down below, his recognition of the strike zone. And what about his swing, Jess? It looks like he's got terrific balance in there from the left side. I haven't seen enough of the right side yet.
Just how free he is, and you can tell a difference before when he was called up and how much he was trying. Mike Shildt talked about that. When you want something, you're young, you know what you're capable of, and now he's just so much more free. Look at it, his stance, his body, the position he gets himself into. It's easy.
2 hits in the first game of this wild card series. And while he didn't have a hit last night, he's been getting on base. 4 walks and a hit by pitch. Filling in a spot in the 4-hole for St. Louis, it has been abysmal this year. A sub-200 average and 380 slugging behind Paul Goldschmidt. Stammen held the Cardinals scoreless in the first inning. First time this series, done by a reliever of all things. And a little flare for Carlson, drops in right. Leadoff man on for Yadier Molina. And a big change for the Cardinals' offensive production after those 2 days off. And more strength. Mike Schultz said, I saw him batting practice the first day. Balls that weren't carrying, all of a sudden were. And I said, whoa, boy. 8 runs a game in the first 2 of this series. And a home run way more often than they had before.
Well, Tom, we say, okay, 16 days, 14 games. I mean, most of the time they were in a hotel room in Milwaukee. They weren't able to leave. They couldn't train. They couldn't do the things they were used to. And then playing that amount of games, 53 in 44 days. I mean, Sut, you know this. What it does to your body, they didn't want to complain. But yes, having 2 days off after everything that they went through, you could see the difference in these last 2 games.
Well, let me ask you this, as an everyday player, okay? Would you rather have played all of those games, or would you have rather just sat for 17 days not playing games? Which would have been tougher on you?
If you knew that you were going to get to the postseason like they are, and as long as you get the days off, I mean, I think you do it. But you do whatever you have to do. But they barely got in. Percentage of double headers. I mean, the most all-time behind the 1961 White Sox.
And despite all that, nobody caught more games in the National League this season than Yadier Molina. Nobody caught more innings than Molina did. And he sends his fly ball to center field. Grisham onto the track. Sun can be tough in center and right. Carlson's looking to move. Nobody's at the bag, and he steals 90 feet from an inattentive Padres defense.
Well, he's watching Grisham all the way. I mean, and by the way, you never see someone tag from first base and go to second. The rule of thumb is it's always got to be behind you for you to even think about tagging, meaning foul territory out in right field. But Carlson's so smart, not even a ton of speed, but watch Grisham. He's watching him kind of coast to this ball, make sure he catches it, does not get behind him. And because he can see everything in front of him, he gets the bag easily.
And that'll bring Paul DeYoung up with a runner in scoring position and 1 down. Pedro Gomez, what do you got?
The angle I have right behind the dugout of the Padres, you could see that when Grisham let go of the ball was sailing. Because Carlson kind of was going a little bit just to look, and all of a sudden he could tell that ball was sailing high, and that's when he kicked in that extra gear. I saw it perfectly from my vantage point. Like I said, about 15 rows right above the Padre dugout.
All right, thanks, Pedro. Here's the 0-1 to DeYoung. And Stammen throws it in the dirt a foot short.
That block right there on the part of Austin Nola reminds you of what Yadier Molina has done for a long time. I mean, you could tell that at one time he played shortstop because he picked that ball even with the mask on and a catcher's mitt, not an actual shortstop infield glove. He just made it look like it was no big deal.
Came up as a middle infielder, years and years toiling in the minors after a great college career, and then finally changed up and moved behind the plate. Grisham. 2 down. Chase Tingler is the Padres manager. He wouldn't share with us his bullpen blueprint for this game. Can't blame him on that. Craig Stammen getting the start, and Tingler ready to go to the pen where Tim Hill has been getting up. Hill is one of only 3 Padres pitchers who has not seen action yet in this 3-game series. And the revolving door will swing for the first time for the Padres. Stammen did what was asked. He gets 5 outs, and he leaves with a runner on as Hill enters for San Diego. At home, second game of the series, 17 pitchers used combined that tied a major league record for a 9-inning game. And look at the percentage of pitches from the relievers. That bullpen has been busy. The Padres pen will be busy again tonight.
Really, Tom, when you think back on it, I mean, it's been that way the last 4 or 5 years. Not to that extreme right there, but that's kind of been the trend where more and more teams need deeper and more quality down there in that pen.
Matt Carpenter at the plate. Tim Hill making his first appearance for San Diego. Came over from the Royals mid-July. 23 appearances on the season. Had a scoreless streak of 9 1/3 innings out of the Padres bullpen.
Just wondering right now with that great observation by Pedro on that throw from Trent Grisham. Just wondering how bad he's hoping right now that Matt Carpenter doesn't get a base hit here that cost him a run because of that 90 feet that he gave away on that throw.
So Carlson at second with 2 down as Carpenter tries to take advantage of it. Carpenter had a double in his first plate appearance last night. The side armor gives up a ground ball to the right side, covers the bag, and that'll do it. So no harm, no foul. No runs, a hit, 1 left. We go to the second. No score here in San Diego.
Since I took a sip of my drink from Taco Bell and won the all-new Xbox Series X. Unimaginable power is at my fingertips. It might be too much for some. But it turns out, I was made for this.
Calvin, why do you keep talking like that?
Like what? Get a medium or large drink from Taco Bell and you too can enter for a chance to win the all-new Xbox Series X.
NBA Finals.
Davis a 3 for the win. He hits it.
Can't afford to miss a layup when you win the playoffs.
Where legends are born and legacies are made.
To celebrate a title.
And you know I'ma make it.
Got it, Jimmy Buckets. Bang! Bam says get it out of here. Hammer time for LeBron James.
The NBA Finals on ABC. Presented by YouTube TV. Rise together.
John Brickley in the studio. Time for tonight's wildcard roundup, brought to you by Coors Light. The magical run continues for the Marlins, advancing to the divisional round following the sweep of the Cubs, 2-0, highlighted by Garrett Cooper's 7th-inning home run off of Yu Darvish. Miami becomes the first team to win a playoff series the season after losing 100 games. They will face the Braves next week, Tom, in the divisional series.
What an amazing run for the Marlins squad. Jack Flaherty on the mound for his 2nd inning of work. No score between the Cardinals and Padres. They'll face Tommy Pham, Mitch Moreland, and Will Myers here in the 2nd.
Tommy Pham was the guy, Jess, that we were worried about. We didn't know after a swing that he took last night late in the game if he would be able to be in the lineup for these Padres.
Okay, that hand injury to the hamate bone. Chase Tingler talked to us pregame about it hitting that nerve, the knob of his bat on the swing. And he said that that's happened a few times. You see that bottom hand Had to take him about 20, 30 seconds just to kind of get feeling back, which made me nervous because I'm like, if you can't feel that bottom hand. Obviously, it came back. He had a big 4-hit day yesterday.
I wonder if he's tried that axe handle bat that a lot of players are using these days.
Relieve some of the pressure on it. Whatever he's doing, it's worked since he came back from the hamate injury. Over the 10 games since he's returned, he's hitting .333. In the last 2 postseasons, highest batting average for anybody at .441 with a minimum of 30 at-bats. Flaherty paints the edge, 2-2.
I'm sure a lot of fans in St. Louis, probably mixed emotions. I mean, they're happy to see Tommy Pham doing well. Of course, not against their own team, but someone that was loved with the Cardinals when he was there.
Got here Molina there trying to expand that outside corner. Tom, you mentioned James Hoy behind home plate. I got him down from the times I've seen him back there. He's one of the best in the game.
Messed up behind the plate, swing and a miss. So Flaherty, one of, well, 2 or 3 of his high school teammates pitching in the postseason. You probably know this story. Lucas Giolito, Max Fried, also on that same Harvard-Westlake High School team. I can't imagine they ever lost a game. And Flaherty's got some producing to do to keep pace with those guys in the postseason, Jess.
Oh, absolutely. Lucas Giolito, game 1. We had that. He had a perfect game through 6 innings. Came out in the 8th, ended up giving up a hit there in the 7th. Max Fried also throwing game 1. No runs, 5 Ks. And it's funny, Jack Flaherty's mom, you know, being a fan of all 3, kind of almost like they're her own sons, all of them going to high school. So she followed Lucas Giolito's no-hitter earlier this year and posted on Twitter she was going crazy and screaming. Was so pumped. Jack talked about it.
Can we get Eileen some more Twitter followers as Mitch Moreland, the veteran, comes up with a 1-out single? There is nowhere to rest in this Padres batting order. The Cardinals, in comparison, don't have a single hitter with double-digit home runs. The Padres have a ton of them, including Moreland and Myers back-to-back in the bottom half of the lineup.
I kind of thought all of the holes that over the winter General Manager A.J. Preller had to fill. The trades that he made with Milwaukee, the trade that he made with Tampa, then all of a sudden realizing, hey, we've got a chance to be good with the expanded postseason schedule and teams. You know, we need to get a little bit better. We got a shot at going deep in this thing. He goes and gets Castro, then he gets Nola. Oh, we need a number 1 pitcher. Let's try to make a deal with Cleveland for Clevenger. You know they want to get rid of him. All of a sudden, you got to help that bullpen. Kirby Yates went down. Pomeranz was out for a little while. He added Pagan over the winter, and of course, eventually, Rosenthal.
And it must have been a pleasing sight to the veteran Will Myers, the longest tenured Padre, former Rookie of the Year and an All-Star with the Royals. He said when he was first with this club, he'd look around and half the dudes in the clubhouse were Rule 5 players. Now he's surrounded by stars, and he joined the company of stars with his home run last night. Well, 2 home runs, really. He and Tatis both go a yard twice in the same game. That hadn't been done since a couple of guys by the name of Ruth and Garrick did it 88 years to the day. That was in the World Series for the Yankees against the Cubs.
Oh, and that first one, it was a line drive. I think it left the stadium set when he was still in the batter's box. I mean, you saw him just sit there and watch it.
I don't blame you for that, but the one that impressed me was that one, the second one to dead center. I mean, late at night in Southern California, when all of a sudden the air gets heavier, that ball just doesn't carry in that direction that far very often.
Moreland the runner at first with 1 down. No score, bottom of the 2nd inning. Chase Tingler had nothing but great things to say about Will Myers and his approach when we talked to him before the game today. A guy that knows his strengths and is disciplined enough to stick to them. And one of is his on-base percentage, and he works a 1-out walk from Flaherty.
I like, too, how he said that Will Myers told the coaching staff to keep him accountable. Okay, here's the areas I got to get better in. I've got to find a balance between slugging percentage and contact. And you just saw one of those collective team at-bats right there from Will Myers.
Huge opportunity for the LSU product, Austin Nola. Came over from the Mariners midseason, looks at a first pitch strike. He has started every game behind the plate of this series for San Diego.
There's a lot of unsung players in this lineup. Deservedly so, probably, because when you have Fernando Tatis Jr. and Eric Hosmer, Manny Machado, there's so many names. But I'll tell you what, Austin Nola, the at-bats he showed me yesterday, those 3 walks, yeah, they're not home runs, and now the exit velocity, all the sexy stats. But Austin Nola, getting rallies going, being a team player, being in this 8th spot, and working, grinding those at-bats to get those walks. Those are the at-bats that need to complement the home runs, because otherwise it's just solo shots. You need the runners on base, you need the table setters, and Austin Nola was a perfect one yesterday.
Yeah, that first walk in the 6th inning is what allowed the lineup to turn over to get to Tatis and Machado for those back-to-back home runs.
You can see what Jack Flaherty's trying to do here. He's normally 97 with that 4-seam fastball. Those first 3 pitches have all been 2-seamers with that late sinking action. He's trying to get that ground ball right now to get out of here without any damage.
Cardinals, one of the best defensive teams in baseball. And Nola ignores that one, 2-2. Sut, in the end, is this game going to be high scoring or low scoring?
I think it's going to be low scoring. I really do. I think in a game like this with this kind of importance, people are going to put aside whether they pitched in both of the first 2 games, back-to-back days and all of that. I just think we've seen so much offense, I think they're tired of running the bases.
Right down central at 94, and Nola goes down looking. Huge K for Flaherty.
That's the first time that he saw the 4-seam fastball. There's no sinking action to that. He thought that ball was going to run down below the zone. He thought if he did anything with it, all he could do is hit it on the ground. He didn't want to do that. He got fooled because of the different rotation on that fastball.
And really almost a mistake from Jack Flaherty. I mean, he wanted the 4-seam. I'm sure he probably wanted a different location than middle. But sometimes it's the ones that fool even yourself. It fools the hitter. That's a hard take, though. 2 strikes right down the middle of the plate.
I agree with you. I don't think it was a location, but I think Flaherty wanted to make something happen. He didn't want to go 3-2.
9-hole hitter Jake Cronenworth looks at a first pitch strike, 26-year-old. 7th-round pick of the Rays in 2015 out of the University of Michigan. 2 for 4 this series.
He's a winner. He just does things that help you win ball games. Yeah, he had some trouble running the bases in that first game, something that probably will never, ever happen again. Maybe never happened in his career, but this guy is a winning player.
Got jammed on this one, charging it short to Young, and he drops the baseball. Everybody's safe with Moreland advancing to 3rd and Myers filling him in at 2nd.
You feel like you're off to a good start when you're able to pick up a base hit on something like this. I mean, that bat's gone. That ball didn't have any carry at all. You see DeYoung coming back there. He had to come get it, and then it had so much spin on it, it looks like it starts to come up, and it kicks off towards his right side. Luckily, he was able to knock that down, or the Padres might have been able to pick up a run there.
I think he expected it to die more. I mean, that thing was dead off the bat, but then took a big hop.
So here's a huge at-bat for Trent Grisham. Bases loaded, 2 down with Tatis on deck. In for a strike. We've seen the slider and we've seen the curveball. He'll go with both of them.
Yeah, Tom, and the one guy in the Padre lineup that has seen a lot of Jack Flaherty is Grisham. He's 4 for 6 coming into the ball game tonight. And you go back and look at the last couple of years, the team that has given Jack Flaherty the most problems has been where Trent Grisham came from, the Milwaukee Brewers. they've got something on Jack Flaherty that nobody else has.
Missed inside. Padres don't miss with the bases loaded very often. You heard Don Orsillo call him Slam Diego, one of the best nicknames, and for good reason. They set a major league record for consecutive games with grand slams. 7 in the first 60 games, also ties a major league record.
4 in 4 days. They hit 5 in 6 days.
Upstairs. Flaherty has already tied his personal postseason high for walks with 2.
I think you're at that moment right now, like you were with Austin Nola, where you got to make something happen. You don't want to go to a 3-ball count. For me, you got to be thinking down, but you got to be thinking about a strike. And this is where that combination of speed with Grisham at the top of the order and power could hurt you again.
96, and Molina is a little banged up. Somehow he got jammed. Now the second to final road trip of the season, the Cardinals were in Milwaukee, and Molina got hit a couple of times on his left hand, on his glove hand, including a catcher's interference at one point. Mike Schilt has incredible respect for Yadier Molina.
Did he get hit on the swing, on the follow-through from Grisham there?
I didn't catch it.
Grisham lost his helmet, bat. I mean, it was a huge hack he took.
Takes another big one. Take a look at this. It was a total yard sale by Grisham.
That fastball up in the zone, maybe just out of the zone.
As the helmet.
That's what happened. Yeah, the helmet hit Yadi in the finger. As he went to throw that baseball back, he only got it like halfway.
9-time All-Star, 9-time Gold Glove winner. Bases full of Padres. Grisham punched out on a fastball off the plate inside. Jack Flaherty with an inconsistent second, but he came up with a couple of ace going in Game 3. What kind of confidence does that give this team?
Yeah, a lot of confidence. I mean, Jack's one of our guys and has been the guy for us going back to last year where he dominated. So always good to have Jack out there. You know he's going to compete. Stuff looks good. Made a big pitch in the inning.
Well, Mike, coming into this game, you knew you were going to see a lot from the bullpen, from the Padres. What's a plan offensively coming into a game knowing you're going to see so many pitchers?
Yeah, you know what? We've seen their bullpen the last couple of days quite a bit. They're fairly familiar with us, even though we didn't play them during regular season. But, you know, we got bullet points, got a good approach for all of them. It's just a matter of executing it.
Mike, thanks for your time.
All right, appreciate it.
Cardinals manager Mike Schilt, no score here in the 3rd inning. Dexter Fowler to lead off for St. Louis. Tim Hill on the mound for San Diego. We'll see a rotation of relievers for the Padres. 3 hits this series for Fowler. Pardon me, 4 hits, 4 for 10 with a couple driven in. Fowler missed significant time late in the season. He's been dealing with some health issues, and after going through the COVID scare with St. Louis and being stuck in a Milwaukee hotel, then late in the year, he was stuck at home on the couch, trying to get his medication right for a digestive issue. And he basically couldn't work out at all for over a week. 3-1 now. Fouled off and the count goes full.
Dexter was so good back in 2015 and 16 when he was with those Chicago Cubs. Hit that home run to lead off Game 7 of that World Series. His on-base percentage that year in that leadoff spot was just under 400. He's not been able to duplicate that, though, in this Cardinal uniform.
Swing and a miss for Fowler. The Padres in this position with a bullpen day because They lost their two best pitchers in the final series of the regular season, Mike Clevenger and Dinelson Lamet. Clevenger came over from the Indians August 31st. He was sensational. Lamet had the 5th best ERA in Major League Baseball. Pedro Gomez, now both of those guys are forced to watch.
And Lamet is actually part of about half a dozen to 10 Padres taxi squad guys sitting not far behind me. He just went down the concourse. I was able to kind of yell at him and asked him how his elbow is doing. And he responded, "Está mejor," which means it's better. Now, how better it could be by Monday, who knows? But the Padres are being very aggressive with their trainers in trying to get him back for a potential series should they start Monday in the state of Texas.
And what would your expectations for Clevenger be?
Clevenger, I've heard two different stories. I've heard he's doing better, but then I've heard he's not going to be ready. That's a tougher one. I did text with him a couple of days ago, and Clevenger said he's very frustrated because he felt like he was getting so close. He played catch on Monday, but then when he threw a bullpen on Tuesday, it went the wrong direction.
About a 23-pitch bullpen session by Clevenger, and both starters out for this wild card series. And if they advance, the future remains to be seen. Harrison Bader at the plate for St. Louis. What a big bounce-back performance by Bader in last night's game. He had a single and an RBI in his first at-bat. Why was that such a big deal? We went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts in Game 1. And Bader will take it. On with 1 down. Now playing on ESPN. Tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern, number 4 Georgia plays host to number 7 Auburn between the hedges, followed by our UFC Fight Night main card from Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. Sunday, it's Game 3 of the NBA Finals between the Heat and the Lakers at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on ABC. And our Monday Night Football matchup has Aaron Rodgers and the 3-0 Packers hosting the Falcons at Lambeau Field. It's all